Hello ladies, welcome to your 10:15 Fit Club stretch class. This is where we take a moment just for ourselves to take care of our bodies. We're going to spend the next 45-ish minutes doing just that, but first we're going to go ahead and get started with our warm-up. Let's start with a little side-to-side tap. Now you'll notice I am in my socks today. It occurs to me that a lot of times stretching with shoes on can feel a little bit awkward. And since you guys are all at home, and only Dave is here with me, I figure no one's gonna mind me wearing socks. Plus they're purple, and that just brings me a little bit of joy. Little reaches across. Now the idea here is that we're spending just a few minutes, less than 5 minutes, getting our bodies nice and warm. We want to get that core temperature up. If you can turn the heat on, I recommend you do so, because as we move through class, we're going to slow down, be holding static stretches for extended periods of time, and you are going to end up cooling somewhat. Let's go ahead and bring those arms right overhead. And if you have people who complain about the heat being on, tell them it's just 45 minutes. Ugh, this is your time. They can deal with being a little schwitzy for 45 minutes. Good. If heat isn't an option, layers. Go ahead and put some layers on. Have them nearby so you can, put on a little sweater or a cardigan or even a blanket just to make sure that as you cool down, your core temperature stays high. Get that breath going as we move through this low impact warm up. Let's go 4, let's go 3, 2 into a hamstring curl, hands to the chest right here. Now, when we go into our hamstring curl, I want you to try your very best to keep your knees pointing straight down toward the floor. You should feel a little extension through the quads themselves. This is kind of a dynamic quad stretch as that heel comes up toward the butt. Good, and making sure too that we're not flaring those heels out, nor are the heels falling in. Very nice. Now I have my phone with me. You'll notice I have my screen lit up. This is for me to keep track of the time. I'm not texting about you guys. Palms forward. We're gonna bring those elbows back, squeezing the shoulder blades. Now, if I haven't seen any of you over Zoom or otherwise since the holiday, I hope you have a really wonderful holiday. And we have New Year's Eve coming up. I just had a bunch of my friends ask me or ask each other if we were doing New Year's resolutions. And my answer was like, oh, that might be a hard nope for me this year. Got enough to worry about without also worrying about my resolutions. And we have 4, 3, 2, 1, feet a little bit wider than hip distance apart, hands up like you're ready to catch a football. We're gonna do little steps. Although if you wanna do your resolutions, more power to you. Just a quick reminder, keep your goals small and attainable. And another very important reminder is if you make a goal and you slip up or you fail, do not beat yourself up about it. That doesn't do you any good. Just smile and shrug and say, try again. Good, let's bring those feet a little bit faster. Excellent. Beautiful, we're going into our little football feet. Still low impact. Keeping that core nice and tight, back is nice and flat. There is a little bit of a hinge here. Good. And we have 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and drop those heels. Give me a little squat with a big reach around. Squat, reach up, arms open. Good, and we're moving a little bit slowly here, but I want you to just open up that chest and explore your range of motion. You may be able to get really wide, or maybe your shoulders are a little bit tender today. You have to keep it a little narrower. That's okay too. But either way, we're going to do 2 more. 2, reach, and 1. You're going to bring your arms all the way up and hold. One hand is going to drop behind your back, reaching down the spine. Grab the elbow with the other hand. We're going into our first tricep stretch. Get that breath going. Ooh, and I'm warm enough that I'm gonna take my jacket off. I'm gonna put it right here in case I wanna put it back on. Beautiful, start engaging with your breath. Deep breath in, making sure too that we're not hyperextending the lower back. We wanna keep a little bit of an engagement through the core. And you should be feeling the stretch all the way down the back of the arm, maybe even through the armpit. Good. Big breath in. And on the exhale, you're going to take the foot that's on the same side as the stretching arm, and you're going to send it back as if you're about to do a curtsy, but without bending the knees. You're going to send your body over, getting a little bit of a stretch through the outside of the rib cage and the waist. Beautiful. Deep breath in. And exhale, come up. Bring your feet together. Very good. Let go of that elbow. Full reach and around. Squat, reach. Good. Now you notice we're doing a couple of new things here. Just a reminder though that some of these stretches are going to feel pretty familiar. The idea is for you to learn them, become comfortable enough with them that you can use them in your own stretching routine throughout the rest of the week. Good, and we have two more. Keeping ourselves warm, one more here, and reach, other arm. Gonna go right down behind the spine, grab that elbow into our tricep stretch. Core stays nice and tight, no hyperextension of the lower back. Feeling the stretch all the way down the back of the arm into the armpit, and breathe. Very, very good. Beautiful. Big breath in. And on the exhale, bring that foot back into your semi-curtsy and tilt that body. We're getting the outside of that rib cage, the waist. And sending breath into your belly. Feel your rib cage expand. Beautiful. One more breath. Bring yourself back to center. Very gentle release of that arm. Arms all the way up. Sweep them around and squat reaches. Good. Never thought a stretch class would have so many squats. Beautiful. Today was my leg day, so that's where my brain is. Let's do two more. 2 and 1. This time the arms are going to float all the way behind the back into our familiar chest stretch. You're going to clasp those hands. Keep the palms open for now. Inhale deep. Exhale as you roll those shoulders back and down and straighten out those arms. Feeling the expansion, keep the stretch ladies, feeling the expansion through the chest, front of the shoulders. Good. Now, here's a little progression here. If your shoulders are tender, do this with a lot of care. You're going to inhale, and exhale, you're going to try to press those arms away from the body. Good. Inhale, drop, and exhale, press. Inhale, drop, and exhale, press. Very good. One more time. Inhale, drop, and exhale, press. Hold. 2, 3. Relax the hands. Gently release the elbows first, then release the palms. Hands back to the chest. Squat and reach. Last round of squat reaches here. But you should feel a little bit more limber through your upper body. Maybe your reach is a little bit wider. Or maybe your snap, crackle, popping a little bit less. Just moving a little smoother. Let's do 2 more. 2 and 1. This time you're going to bring the hands, sweep them down in front of the body. Then you're going to cross your hands. Then you're going to flip your palms. Then you're going to press your palms together. Deep breath in. And on the exhale, you're going to add pressure through the palms, press them together, round the shoulders gently. This is one of the only times I coach a rounding of the shoulders. You should feel the stretch through the back here, between the shoulder blades, upper part of the shoulder. The more pressure through the palms, the more intense this stretch is going to feel. Go gentle. Very nice. Deep breath in. And on the exhale, release the pressure through the palms, roll the shoulders back and down, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab my chair. So, if you don't have a chair handy, actually you should have a chair handy, we're doing a seated series a little bit later, but if it's not immediately available, you can always put your hands on a wall for this part or a countertop. But for now, we're gonna begin with our elbows just about at our sides, and the tops of our palms are resting right on top of the chair. You're gonna send one leg way back into sort of a letter A with your legs. Now, keep your weight on the front of that chair. Your hips are both pointing forward, so no rotation out, and both toes are pointing forward, so no rotation of the back foot. Inhale deep, and exhale as you soften the front knee just a little bit more, straighten out that back leg, and ooh, down into that calf. Beautiful. You should feel the stretch all the way down the back of the meaty part of the calf, possibly even the back of the knee. Now, if you're not quite feeling this stretch, that's okay. You can always try like a wider A stance. That's going to intensify things. Oh, my calves feel tight today. Very nice. Deep breath in. And on the exhale, you're going to very gently, please, shift your weight onto the front leg and let the back heel pop up. Then you're going to bring that foot in and switch to the other side. Big letter A. Both toes pointing in the same direction, both hips pointing in the same direction. Weight is forward on the back of the chair. Inhale deep. Exhale, soften that front knee, straighten out that back leg, and drop that heel. Oh, that is a lot. Very good. Keep that breath going. Nice deep inhales. Nice deep exhales. Very nice. Good. One more breath here. And on this exhale, very gently, please, you're going to shift your weight onto the front leg, let the back heel pop up. You're going to bring both feet forward first, and then you're just going to scooch your body back. I'd say maybe 3 or 4 feet from the back of the chair. You're probably going to have to adjust as you go through. But the first thing I want you to do is soften those knees. And then you're going to send your tailbone back. At a certain point, you're not going to be able to go back much farther without feeling like you're going to fall backwards. So you can scooch your little feet back. Soft knees, please, please, soft knees as you drop your chest down. If you've taken this class before, chances are you've heard me talk about this stretch. But if this class is new to you, keep stretching, ladies. This particular stretch should be felt through the chest and the fronts of the shoulders. Many times when people are doing a shoulder press, if they're tight through their shoulders, the press ends up looking like this. The goal here is to get you flexible enough to be able to stack the weights the way they're meant to. So this is what this is for. Should feel very, very nice. Deep breath in. And exhale, you're going to come up just a little bit. Inhale. And exhale, drop again, reapproaching the stretch. Knees should still be soft. Very nice. Now this next section is optional if your lower back is a little bit tender. But if you have a strong lower back, we're going to do a little bit of a hamstring stretch. Inhale deep. And exhale as you straighten out your knees. You're not dropping your body any farther. All you're doing is straightening your legs out. Then inhale, soften. And exhale, straighten. Very good. Inhale, soften. Exhale, straighten. One more time, inhale soft, and exhale straight, and inhale soft. Big breath in, exhale, drop your chest a little bit farther if you can. Very good, last inhale, exhale, come all the way up, step forward, let go of the back of the chair, give yourself a luxurious shoulder roll, and we're gonna go ahead and come to seated. Beautiful. So, next thing we're gonna do is get in touch with the breath. You'll notice I talk a lot about breathing during this class, so it's always a good idea to remind ourselves to breathe. And to that purpose, I'm gonna have you take one hand, place it just below your belly button. The other is just above. Make sure that you are seated with your spine stacked, not slouching against the back of the chair. Shoulders are back and down, strength pulling up through the top of the head. And go ahead and close your eyes. And just give me normal breath. And notice where that normal breath is living. Your shoulders tend to rise up and down. Does your chest tend to expand? Now what I'd like you to do is deepen your breath so that the top hand, the one above the belly button, rises and falls. If you're already there, and you can do that with some ease, you're going to bring your breath into your lower hand, the one below the belly button, until that hand rises and falls. We want to swell the belly like a balloon. And at first, it's going to feel like you're forcing air down into your belly. But as the diaphragm warms up, it should get easier. Let's do 2 more breaths. Very good, and 1 more. And let your eyes drift open. Very nice. We're going to begin with our seated series on the right leg. First, I'd like you to move your body forward until your butt is supported, but you have plenty of play with your thighs. We're going to begin with our figure 4 stretch. I'm going to start with my right leg, making sure that my knee remains aligned with my thigh. I'm going to hook my ankle over my knee in a figure 4, placing the palm of my hand, right hand, on the inside of my right knee. Other hand, I always like to brace it against my right ankle. Then sit up nice and tall, deep breath in, and exhale. You're going to fold forward very slightly. Very quickly, you should feel a stretch begin right in the outside of the hip here. The hand on the inside of the knee is not shoving the knee down. We're not really activating through the shoulder. When we fold, our body weight will just very gently translate into a little bit of extra pressure here. Now use the breath. As we're moving into these bigger muscle groups, you want to breathe into that muscle right here, as if it's a lung. Imagine that you're sending air directly to the area. And then when you exhale, you're going to try to relax and release. At a certain point, if you're able to fold yourself forward fairly far, it may be useful to bring your elbow to the inside of that right knee instead of your hand. I find it provides me with a little bit more leverage. Not required. Optional. Breathe. Breathing isn't optional. The elbow thing is optional. Clarification. Very good. The chest is coming forward, and our other goal is to get that knee eventually dropping down toward the floor. And when I say eventually, I really mean it. This is small, incremental. Beautiful. Wonderful. Give me one more deep breath in. And on the exhale, you're going to come up gently. You're going to take the pressure of your hand or elbow off the inside of the right knee. Take that right hand and lace it through. You're going to come to the front of the shin. So that arm should be going through your figure four. The other arm is going to come and meet, clasping against the shin. And now we're folding forward. We should still feel some of the stretch in the outside of the hip, but it should start to move into kind of the meaty part of the butt. We're going into our seated glute stretch. And breathe. Good, keep stretching, ladies. Beautiful. Now, if this knee begins to pop up again, that's okay. Our focus now is trying to get those hands lower on the shin. The clasping gives you a little bit of a brace so that you're not just falling your weight forward. Beautiful. Let's do one more deep breath. And exhale, you're going to come up, walking your hands up the shin very slowly. You're going to come up nice and tall, give your lower back a little reprieve as we go into our IT band stretch. Now for this one, it's going to look slightly different for everybody, but the first step is to cross your legs a little tighter. So you're still right above the knee. We're not coming in or anything, but you are bringing that knee maybe halfway up your shin and then fold forward. If you like, you can, once again, clasp your hands against your shin, but you'll notice I'm not doing a figure four lace anymore because it's really awkward. I'm just coming around the thigh. Now, if you don't feel much of a difference here, please feel free to play. I usually have to adjust. So sometimes a little tighter. Oh, there it is. Sometimes a little more open, but what we're looking for is the stretch is going to start translating into a little bit more down the side and the outside of the thigh. So it's less up here and more down here. And breathe. Always remember to breathe. Now, one easy thing you can do to increase the stretch is you're just going to shift your weight over to, for what is for me, my left butt cheek. So I'm stretching my right leg and I'm tilting over onto my left butt cheek. And that is going to be bringing this over just a little bit more. It's going to increase the stretch. Gorgeous. Let's do one more breath here. Big inhale. And exhale. You're going to come all the way up, nice and tall. Go ahead and unhook that leg gently. And you're just going to bounce your heels up and down. Release some of the tension you might be feeling through your lower body. Taking your right hand, you're going to cross it across the body to the outside of the left knee. The left hand is going to find the chair behind you. We're going to do a seated twist. Inhale deep and exhale as you take your gaze over your left shoulder. Beautiful. Breathing deeply here. And every time you exhale, you may very gently go just a tiny bit deeper into the twist. If your lower back doesn't care for this, you don't need to do it. Or just do it really gently. One more deep breath. Exhale as you bring your gaze back to center, and we're going to switch. This time the right hand is going to find the chair behind you. Left hand comes across the body to the outside of the right knee. Inhale deep. And exhale as you go into the other direction. Now this really should feel like you're balancing yourself out. You're getting a little bit of pressure through the outside of this knee. Not much, just a little bit, enough to support the twist. And breathe. Good, let's do one more breath in. And exhale very, very gently. You're going to bring yourself back to center. And now it's time to do the figure four series on the other side. So this time, left leg. Up to the top of the right knee, which should stay aligned with the hip, namely you're not falling in or flaring out. Left hand to the inside of the left knee, right hand to the inside of the left ankle. Inhale deep and exhale, fold. So now we're approaching these stretches on the other side. Hopefully you have a little bit of muscle memory about where you're feeling it. Should be the outside of the hip, just a clue. How deep you're breathing and how gradual you move through the stretches. And one thing to keep in mind, it is very common to feel tighter on one side than you do on the other. That is okay. It's just something to be aware of. If you're ready, you can come down to your elbow. That awareness will hopefully lead you to take a little bit of extra care on the tight side. Essentially, any extra tightness you feel on one side versus the other usually indicates some kind of muscular imbalance that should be addressed, but it's very common. Ooh. And we're dropping that knee, and we're folding forward, and we're taking deep breaths. Beautiful, nice deep breath in. And on the exhale, you're going to come up very gently, very slowly. You're going to take that left hand, that's going to lace through the figure 4 and find the shin. Other hand is going to come around. We're going into our glute stretch. So that knee might pop up slightly. That's okay. We should feel the stretch less in the outside of the hip and more in the booty. And as you breathe, you may find yourself walking those hands down. But every time you walk down, see if you can get a little bit of grip on the front of that shin. Give yourself some support. Big breaths. Beautiful. Excellent, ladies. So coming up, because of the outdoor classes, we're going to have some changes in the schedule with this class specifically as well. So keep an eye out for the email. Breathe. Very, very nice. You're going to take a nice deep breath in and walk those hands up the shin until you're nice and tall, and then you're going to cross those legs into your IT band stretch. Again, this one usually takes a little bit of experimentation and adjustment. Tilt forward, hand to the outside of the thigh to clasp around the shin. The other hand, I always like sort of hooking it underneath that ankle. So if you do cardio, which I hope you're doing cardio, many cardiovascular repetitive exercises are forward and back. So think cycling, running, walking, elliptical. IT bands running up and down the side of that thigh get notoriously tight with that kind of repetitive motion. So if you're doing your cardio on a regular basis, which I hope you are, the IT band is a really important area to stretch. Beautiful, nice deep breaths. Inhale deep and come all the way up on your exhale. Very nice. Gently unhooking that leg, bringing those feet together, and little bounce of the heels. We're just very gently getting rid of any tension that we feel in the lower body. You're going to take your right hand, grab underneath your chair seat, and allow your head to tilt in the opposite direction over to your left. You should feel a nice little stretch running up and down the side of your neck. Many times when people do a head tilt stretch, they'll kind of let their shoulder come up with them. The idea of bracing your hand underneath the chair allows that shoulder to stay down. If you're ready to progress, you can take your hand just above the ear and just very, very gently rest it. Not pushing it, you're resting, letting gravity and the weight of your hand do the work. Very nice, deep breath in, and exhale, you're going to let go of that hand, you're going to very gently bring your head back to neutral, and we'll repeat on the other side, grasping underneath the chair, tilting your head over to the right this time. Should feel really nice. Running up and down the side of that neck, and only if you need a progression, add the hand very gently. Many people feel plenty of a stretch without needing to add that hand. Very good. Beautiful, ladies. Deep breath in. And exhale, you're going to let that hand go. Bring your head all the way up and shoulder roll twice back and twice forward. And ladies, now we get to come down to our mat. Yay! So I'm gonna move my chair out of the way so you can see. I'm also gonna put my jacket back on because I've cooled down a fairly significant amount. We're gonna begin on our mats on our hands and knees, making sure that we always come up and down mindfully. Oh, beautiful. So we're going to go into a series of cat and cow. You're going to inhale as you arch your back. Belly button is going to drop down toward the floor. Chest opens and your tailbone is going up to the ceiling. And exhale as you round. Like a scared Halloween cat. Your belly button pulling through your spine up to the ceiling. Inhale. And exhale, round. Big inhale. And exhale, round. Very nice. Find your neutral spine. You're going to walk your hands to your knees and come up. Nice, high, kneeling position. Now, the first thing I want to do is have you squeeze your glutes. You're going to pinch your glutes together, and that's going to end up sending your hips forward, ever so slightly. You should already feel a slight extension through the hip flexors, which is this connective tissue on the front of the thigh that connects you to your hip. We're going to begin with the left leg. Left leg is going to come forward in a proposal pose. If you need to put your hand down on the floor for this, that's absolutely fine. Now, many people find themselves a little bit wobbly here, so I want you to imagine that you're not on a tightrope. You're on railroad tracks. So you can bring that foot a little bit farther out to your side. Actually, just for visual ease, I'm going to take my jacket back off. So, nice and tall, torso stacked right on top of your hip. You're going to do that same glute squeeze. It's mostly going to come from the right booty. So you're going to squeeze. That's going to send those hips forward slightly. And then imagine as though you have a string attached to your pubic bone. You're going to let that pull you forward. Oh, you should feel a really lovely stretch right here on the front of your hip. If your shoulders are healthy, this is optional. You can take your hands and place them right on the top of your butt. What this does for me is it sort of reminds me to send my tailbone down instead of back. So I just kind of push down. And there's that stretch. Beautiful, ladies. Sitting up nice and tall. Now, if your knees feel sensitive, kneeling in this position, feel free at any time to grab a pillow or an extra cushion, put it underneath that back knee. That's usually helpful. Good. Beautiful. One more deep breath. And exhale. You're going to very gently send those hips back. Now you notice I'm not moving into the progression today because I want to get to our hamstring stretches. So, hands on the ground. Bring that leg back. We're going to transition right on over to the other side. So for me, my right knee is forward now. I'm actually going to face the other direction so you can see me a little bit better. Good. Now remember, you don't have to be on a tightrope. You can be on a railroad track. Torso is stacked right on top of your hips. One thing I see a lot is people kind of bend forward. That's not really going to give you the stretch you want right here. So nice and tall. You're going to squeeze that booty. squeeze. That's going to send those hips forward. Little string, pulling that pubic bone forward. You're going to send your hips toward that front wall. Hands optional on your booty, behind your back, and breathe. Oh. Man, between the pandemic and the holiday, I've been sitting a lot more than I ever have. So these stretches to open up this joint, pretty crucial, especially if you have lower back issues. I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, sink. Good, one more deep breath. And exhale as you very gently bring your hips back. Hands to the floor if you need to. Back into a high kneeling position. So, the thing about hip flexors is when they get tight, they get shorter. And when they get shorter, they do this. Now you notice what that does is it arches my lower back and sends my tailbone out. A lot of times this causes a great deal of lower back tension. Great thing about hip flexor stretches is it opens that up, allows us to align our spine correctly. So just a little thing about being aware of your lower back. Go ahead and send your hips back and we're going to go into child's pose. So child's pose is an opportunity to lengthen our spine. I want you to send that tailbone back to that back wall. Let your rib cage fall over your thighs, and then you're walking your fingertips forward. So you should feel this almost opposing pull. Tailbone's going back, fingertips going forward, chest is going down. Beautiful, deep breath in. And exhale as you walk your hands all the way up. And we're going to come to a seated position on our butt. Now, you can start in a comfortable cross-legged position. If you feel really tight, I recommend a pillow underneath your butt. That's going to give you a little bit of elevation and make this just a touch easier. We're going to start with the right leg. That's going to come out to our side. The other foot is going to come to the inner thigh. Now, one thing I want you to pay attention to is the foot. A lot of times I see this, the foot will fall out. We want to make sure that the knee is flat and pointed straight up to the sky. The toe is flexed and pointed straight up to the sky. We're going to bring the hands to the front of the body onto the floor. And breathe. Now, as we're breathing, of course, we're sending air directly to the inner thigh. And when we exhale, we should relax all those muscles that feel tight and gradually walk those hands forward. Very slowly. So we should start to feel the hamstring stretch in the back, but also very much through the inner thigh and the groin. The farther away your hands are, the less support your body is getting. So if you find a good, comfortable stretch, or maybe a stretch that's intense but not painful and you can breathe into it, you can plant your hands there and that's what's going to give you a nice bit of support. Take a nice deep breath in, and on the exhale, you're going to walk your hands over to that extended leg. Now your chest should be pointing towards your knee, hands on the floor, or alternatively, you can grab whatever's available to you. Think back of the thigh, back of the calf, ankle, or if you're feeling real sassy, you could grab that toe. And drop your chest as much as you can. Now, some people like to take the other hand, the one that's not grabbing the toe, and just sort of hold on to the thigh. It gives you a little bit of support. You can also bring it to the inside of the other knee. This can be helpful, especially if you feel that hip kind of coming up off the floor. Gorgeous. Take a nice deep breath. And on this exhale, you're going to come all the way up very slowly, nice and tall up on your sit bones. We're going to switch directly on over to the other side. Extending through that left leg. Right foot gets pulled in. Now, if it feels a little tight on that knee to pull that foot all the way in, you can kind of leave it out here. That's okay, but you want to make sure that both hips are down on the floor. A lot of times, one hip will kind of start to float up. Knee is flat, pointing up to the ceiling. Foot is flexed as opposed to pointed, pointing up to the ceiling, not rolling out. Hands to the floor in front of the body and walk. Beautiful, breathing into that groin, into that inner thigh. A small curvature of the spine here with any of these forward folds is fairly normal. We want to go for a flat back as much as possible, but without forcing it. Essentially, all I care about is that you're not curling or hunching. Basically, your nose should not be going to your pelvis. It should be going to the floor in front of you. And honestly, just do whatever your back is comfortable with. Gorgeous. Let's do one more breath here. Inhale, and on this exhale, you're going to slowly, slowly walk it out over to the extended leg and hands on the floor, or grab whatever you can. If you're here, that's great. If you're here, that's great. If you're here, awesome, great, good job. Other hand, wherever you like, it can be here, it can be supporting on the floor, it can be on the knee. And breathe. Now I care much more about a flat knee than I do about your reach. So if you are able to grab your toe, but only if you do this, it kind of negates the exercise. So flat knee, and if that means you can only fold this far, I'm happy. Beautiful. You're going to take one more deep breath. And exhale, you're going to very gently let that foot go. You're going to come all the way up. Bring those knees in, and we're going to lie down on our backs in a comfortable lying position. So for me, my butt's kind of big, so I prefer to keep my knees bent with the knees falling in toward each other and my hands on my torso. However, you can also do your hands at your sides. You can also do your legs fully extended, whatever is comfortable. We're just going to take a minute here for ourselves. I'm going to sit up. It's a little easier to talk to you guys that way. So we're going to begin with 3 deep breaths. You're going to inhale deep into your belly. And exhale, let go of the day behind you. Anything that happened before class today. Inhale deep. And exhale, let go of the day ahead of you. Anything that you planned for later. Final breath, inhale. And exhale, allow your eyes to come closed if they haven't already. And just breathe. You can let go of the control of your breath and allow it to fall in and fall out. And just notice where your breath lives. What part of your body rises and falls. Take a moment to thank yourself. Expressing gratitude for your heart. Expressing gratitude for your mind. And finally, gratitude for your body and everything that it has done for you today and for your entire life. One more deep breath. And on this exhale, allow your eyes to float open into a soft and steady gaze. And ladies, that is our class. I hope you guys are feeling more limber, moving with more ease. And I am going to come up and say hello.
Hello.